Matthew chapter 4, verse 8. Again, the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them, and said unto him, All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Before I get started, I want to give all glory, honor, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders at GMS. Peace, honor, and respect to you brothers that's out there laboring, edifying, rightly dividing the word, truth and sincerity, and shalom to you believers out there, the Akim wa Akwath. And, I went to Matthew 4, starting at verse 8, and read verse 9 because, this world has been given over. Matter of fact, let's get that. What's that, Job? That's Job 9. Okay. So Job 9 and 24 tell us what? The earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. All right. The earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. And read Matthew 4, when Yahweh Shah was tempted. All right. He took him up on a exceeding high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world. All right. So, the counter, not the counter, the Edomites who currently rule this kingdom, right? They're working for Satan on the left-hand side, basically. All right. Those are the children of Satan, man, basically, for sure. All right. And if you want to make it in this world, you will have to bend the knee. All right. You have to bend the knee to Satan, man. You have to worship. You have to be into satanic worship. That means you have to delve into all types of things, man. All types of things, man. Okay. These celebrities, these acts of entertainment that, we used to idolize and people still idolize to this day, a lot of them is high-level warlocks and witches, all of them, man. And I just want to play a couple minutes of what Terrence Howard said. And this is the truth, man. Okay? This is the truth, so let's get to it. Matter of fact, let me read Matthew 4 again. It says what? Verse 8. Again, all right, the devil taketh him up into a exceeding high mountain and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. Yeah, because Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah have allowed Satan, all right, to have his time to run, to run around the planet and do his thing. But that time is coming to an end, man. The world to come will be lived in righteousness, all right? Verse 9, it says, And saith unto him, All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Then said Yahweh Shah unto him, Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy power, and him only shalt thou serve. And this is what was a stumbling block into the Israelites. Idol worship, worshiping the other so-called gods, man. This is one thing that pissed, all right, the Heavenly Father off. And this is why we in the condition we in, for disobedience. And part of that disobedience was what? Worshiping, getting into Satan worship, worshiping false gods and deities, all right? So when you in the world of Hollywood, you are participating in a lot of things. Pansexuality, all right, which goes into the ABC community. All right, you have to do all these rituals, unspeakable things, man, to make it. And the more money they get and the more fame and more status, the more they into these things, man. So let me play this video because it's very important what Terrence Howard said about once you lose that man card, you can never get it back. Okay? Once you lose that man card, you can never get it back. And that's why you see the transition of these acts of entertainment. When they first come in, they bright, they bubbly, they have a certain, they look normal, all right? But then as time go on, they might have a phase where they look, you can see where, okay, they got some money, they looking a little bit better, because, you give somebody $1 million, they can fix their teeth and do all the, keep the haircut or hair done and do all of these little things. They might be on a better diet. They're able to go to the gym more and work out. All right. But then after a while, you see where they go to a sharp decline. And I always say, take a look at Lil Wayne, man. When Lil Wayne, he was a teen when he first came in. All right, he was a boy. All right, and he had that look of a teenage boy. And then he got to a phase where, he had some money and he cleaned himself up. He looked pretty decent. He took care of his locks, even though we ain't supposed to have them. But I'm just saying, like, overall, you remember the stage where Lil Wayne was looking, he had some muscle mass and all of that. But now when you look at him, you can tell that the drugs have just completely took over. And why is that? Because he have probably done unspeakable things, man. He have. All right, Lil Wayne has rise to the top of a rap career. Now, he might not be as decorated as certain artists. All right, but he's been at the top. He's been at the tippy. Best believe you. He's had the, been featured with the big names and, all of that. So he's tapped in. He's juiced in. Okay? And when you look at him now, it's not due to age, man. It's due to all that weed smoking, all the drugs, all the unspeakable things. He's probably out of his mind, man. Okay? So let's listen to this.
There's a short life in
why do you think
world.
that is? What the creative side is?
Well, because losing out money, you got to take drugs. You're going through so much shit to try and deal with life. You are literally, it's an unhealthy space. And so eventually you're going to go too far. Who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what he had to do in order to get to where he was at? There's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it. And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head.
You see what he said? They can't get over it, man. Once you lose that manhood, if you let a man do something to you, you do something to a man, you can't smoke your way out of that. That's why a lot of them always got to be high. They always got to be drunk, because you can't, once you just realize what you done. Another brother did a video on this. He said, well, Mike Tyson, he had an interview where he was talking about all his belts and trophies. They was trash. You know why? Because he had been compromised, man. Best believe Mike Tyson went to the top of where a boxer can go. He's been at the highs of the highs. You don't think he's done things? All right. All right.
But when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it. A man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You get.
You see the devil. He know what he's saying. And that guy who's interviewing him, he's very, very uncomfortable. When you watch it to the end, he's like, I didn't know the interview was going to go here. Yeah, I bet you didn't, devil.
You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that...
And that's true, man. All right, that's why if you see a ABC man, when he's walking, he has the countenance of a woman. You can tell. Why? Because he's engaged in acts, all right, that took his manhood out, took that masculinity out of there, all right? Is he still a male? Yes. But is he a man? No. Technically, yes, but spiritually, no, all right? You have a lot of these men, they walk around in the ABC community and they're just like a woman. It's just like a woman. That's why these women feel so comfortable with them, because it's like a woman. They are part of the girls, all right. ABC dude, he'll walk in and he'll get to yapping and he'll fit right in with a crowd of women. All right? He'll fit right in. They'll accept him, embrace him. He can gossip with them and all of that. Because spiritually, he's had his man card took, man. Once you get poked behind there and dealing with a dude, whether you doing the poking or somebody doing it or vice versa, however you go, guess what? You lose that manliness about you. That's why sometimes a dude ain't got to speak or nothing. He just walk in the room. You could tell if he's one of those type of dudes. All right. Just like sometimes you could tell a manly man when he walk in the room. All right. You can tell when one of those dudes, they whole thing is like a woman. All right. And I stay in Atlanta now, so you see a lot of that. You be at the grocery store or anywhere, and one of those dudes will be around, and it's just, it's like a woman. They have that continence of a woman, dog. How they stand, their posture, everything. It's crazy, man.
It's always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and do all those things, when you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
Man, I mean, one of the things you're seeing, you went to a whole different place.
Sorry.
No, I get it. So you see some guy struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that.
Look at the devil, man. Look at the devil. He's very, very uncomfortable. Look, you see, when you study body language, they talk about how when somebody got their arms crossed, they closed in. You know why? Because a lot of his sponsors, they might be in that community. All right, this guy right here is rubbing shoulders with people. He knows what's going on. So for Terrence Howard to come in and say that, and he's like, damn, okay, that's why he's just gonna toe the line. He ain't gonna speak too much on it. Even though this guy knows what's going on to a degree, all right? But you see his whole body, his whole posture, he's tensed up. That's why he got his arms, folded. You see Terrence Howard, he's just talking. He loose with it. But this guy right here, he got his arms folded, arms crossed, however you want to say it. But you can see the tension, man. You can see how he's like, damn, this nigga spilling the beans, Hope I don't get... Hope I don't have the ABC community come after me,
Some of these guys struggle.
And see, that's the thing. That's how you know this a wicked ass world, man, because you got to tiptoe around these niggas. You know what I'm saying? When the righteous thing is just for man and woman to be together. All right, everybody should be condemning the shit. But that's how you know it's a wicked ass world, because, you got to tiptoe and speak lightly about these motherfuckers, man. All right, let me continue the video.
With that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here as men.
You see what let's run that back.
If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing, but they don't have their dream, they don't have the soul that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up ever. You gave up your man card.
All right, let me read this. Let me read, Slocky, I had to run into my kitchen real fast. Matthew 16, right? In verse, Matthew 16 and 26, it says, "For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul?" All right? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? All right? Nothing is worth your soul, man. All right? Nothing is worth your man card, your integrity. All right? If somebody offered me $1 billion a day to do something, some ABC activity, it's a no, man. I'd rather just go ahead and go to work. Like, nope, I'm just go to work tomorrow and live my... Nah, man, it ain't worth it. Okay? None of that, man, is worth your manhood, man. Okay?
You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with.
That's why Mike Tyson said his belts was garbage. All right, because when these artists, they go in really thinking it's about talent, you know. Even when I wanted to do music, before all them Illuminati videos came out, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to make it in music and stuff. But once the Illuminati videos came out, I'm not going to lie, it kind of dampened my dream. Because it's like everything was adding up. And then you to know, like, dang, I got to sell out to make it. I thought it was about, you know, because when you before all that stuff came out, that's how you know, man. The Lord started busting down this place. He started just busting it down with the truth. Because before them Illuminati videos, everybody thought it was just about talent, except for the people that really made it. But the outside people like us, the everyday Joe, you know, Joe Blow, all the normal, regular people, I thought you made it off just your talent, man. And you just had to work hard and, you know, but no, man. It's other things involved. You can work hard, you can have all the most talent, but if you don't get down, you not gonna make it. Just in the same, you got people who, you know, they don't really work that hard and they don't really have that much talent, but they make it. Look at most of the rappers now, it's trash. But why is they going to the top? Because they doing things behind closed doors. But let's keep listening.
So it's like achieving don't mean anything.
Yep.
If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here is men. We produce 1,500.
Nah, just like the women, you know. I was talking to a girl the other day, and I was telling her, like, back in the day, you know, I used to be rapping. And I was presented by a famous group manager to manage me. But once I started looking into things, you know, I knew they got into the Satan worship, okay? And this is a real famous group, all right? Real famous group. The manager approached me about a deal because I had a song out. He was like, we can market you all over the world. All right, we can market you, you know, but it's like, you know, that music industry, man, no. I'm glad the Lord didn't let me get into that. All right, didn't let me succumb to that. I'm glad because I always was wondering, like, why I can't get in? Why ain't nobody paying? But it was the Lord blocking. It was a blessing in disguise that the Lord was blocking me from walking through those doors, okay? And I remember towards the end, like before I was about to be like just done, I'm like, man, it gotta be something. Like the Lord must don't want me to do it. I remember thinking that to myself a couple times, like the Lord must don't want me to make it. Cause I was making all these songs and performing and doing this and doing it, and like wasn't nothing really panning out. But then one day, that guy, he caught a hold of my song. And then I just seen, you know, all of the devil worship, all right, from the and I'm gonna just put out here the group manager, one of the managers that managed what's the name in 3 6 Mafia. Hence that name, 3 6 Mafia. All right, I think he managed like Crunchy Black and stuff like that. His manager got at me and like he was like, "Yeah, I want you to see these videos and this and that," and it was just some crazy stuff. All right, they get down. That's why they named 3 6 Mafia. It ain't to be cute. They really into that type of stuff, into that devil worship. All right, that's why they named themselves 3 6 Mafia, man. That's not to just be cute again. Okay, these people really are into some crazy things, and you see that group. They won what they won, an Academy Award. They ain't get that off just talent. They had that. They made that song. It's hard. It's hard for a pimp. I think that was Juicy J and DJ Paul. They won an award, man. They been to the highest of the highs. They didn't had all the big name brand features and been with, you know what I'm saying? They done been up to the tippy top. 3 6 Mafia. They're a well known group out of Memphis. All right, so one of the dudes that I think it was Crunchy Black and somebody else he represented in that group, he came to me like, yeah, I like your image. I like, I like the song, and I feel like we can do something with you. All right. But when I started looking into what they do, I was like, nah. Like I was just seeing certain little things. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna send you this package and da-da-da. And it was just like, man, nah, I'm good. Like once I started talking to him, and it was like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I can't even live with myself if I do if I even be involved with this type of, it ain't like I seen a ritual or nothing, but I just seen the hints of like, yeah, I'm gonna have to be into some shit dealing with these people. All right. And I was like, I couldn't really live with myself. And I'm glad the Lord put the spirit on me to be like that. And for women, again, I was talking to a girl, and the same girl I was telling her about this. I'm like, if you look at Rihanna, if you look at her first album cover, Rihanna's first album cover, to like now she was bubbly and smiling, and she went very dark. Same with Beyonce. All right. Same with all of these acts of entertainment, man. They come in, they bubbly, and then they start becoming more dark because they start, if they start building, they start getting into the rituals and doing what you got to do, and it's a wrap, man. So that's pretty much the point, it ain't worth it, man. Matthew 16:26, for what is a man profited if he should gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for a soul? Nothing, man. There's no amount of money that's worth your soul. Especially right now when the money is trash. But I don't care if it was real money. I don't care. It's still not worth your soul, man. Because why? This whole life, this whole existence right now is temporal. All right? So, Lord willing, you was edifying to the next lesson. Shalom.